Yes, coming up soon is our life moments.
That's right.
We have a very, very special guest tonight. Young man, visionary. His name is Michael Tennant.
Ah.
And folks, we're not talking about apartments, okay? Not apartments. Michael Tennant, a brilliant
Right.
young man. And before we get to him, we're going to have a little break. Have some music, and when we come back, we're going to hear Mr. Tennant do his thing. Let's talk
relationships on UMERADIO.
So what are we talking about?
Marriage, dating, parenting, business,
and love, emotions, sex.
It's a conversation with me, Lady Misty,
and DJ KTE
on everything from hot topics to taboos.
Join us Mondays at 9 p.m. live on UMERADIO.
Follow us at Let's Talk Relationship Show on Facebook or on UMERADIO on Instagram. Let's talk relationships, arguments for the grown.
Get the UMERADIO app to listen wherever you are. That is UMERADIO. One word.
It's UMERADIO, touching your airwaves like something you've never heard before.
UMERADIO.
Yes, folks, welcome back. Let's talk relationships. And here, just life moments, we have is a segment where we have someone share unique moments in their lives that's noteworthy, moments that will rock your world a little bit, let you think, let you feel, let you move, because life isn't always smooth and always, fluffy. There are some tough, hard times that we face sometimes. And when someone can say, I've been here, I've experienced this, and I know that this will feel pain and hurt, and that's to rise above that and move above that, that's something that we all to hear and learn from and garner from. And I know that will touch other lives. So, Misty, you can introduce our next guest here, Michael Tennant. Go right ahead, Misty.
All right, so we have our special guest tonight, and he is a creative strategist, I see. Michael Tennant. Good night, Michael. Welcome to Let's Talk Relationships, to our segment Life Moments. How are you?
Well, thank you, Lady Misty, and thank you, DJ KTE, for having me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm quite well, and just really grateful to be on the show.
Great. Now, we actually had a conversation prior to this, and maybe once or twice, and I've heard a bit of your journey, and I would say in the last 2-3 years, and really kind of moved me, when I hear what you've been through as a young man and how you just keeping it moving, so to speak. So I won't give all the accolades, because I know that you can say it better than I can, and you can just show us where you're coming from, your perspectives, and what you're trying to accomplish with what you've been through for the last number of years, and your vision moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll give the audience a little bit of background on myself. My name is Michael Tennant, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. My family, Bed-Stuy specifically. And my parents are from Jamaica. My mother's from Hanover, and my father's from St. Elizabeth.
Okay.
So still very, very much connected to the roots in Jamaica. And my background professionally is in media and advertising. I started off my career working at media companies like MTV and Vice Media. And then about halfway through, I made a transition into advertising, where, more or less, Lady Misty, you said I'm a creative strategist, and what that more or less entails is I find creative ways to help messages connect with audiences. most often
Okay. That's
from
interesting. Yeah.
brands, global brands like Procter and Gamble, who owns Gillette and CoverGirl, or brands like Delta Airlines or Google. These have all been my clients in the past.
Okay.
And then about 2017, so 4 years ago, I hit this sort of crossroad in my career. So I'd risen up the ladder, broken through the glass ceilings and into this promised land of upper management, and just realized I hit a whole new set of hurdles. Actually, things that even I didn't really have language to speak to what I was experiencing and the stress involved until now, where we have the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement, and with almost more permission and more agency to kind of claim our rights. But I feel like that's foreshadowing, because a lot happened in between then 2017 and now. So in 2017, I essentially decided that I wanted to essentially pursue my philosophies of marketing, which then were wanting to make sure that my time, the investment of dollars and effort that goes into creating these messages to connect with audiences really were born from a strategy around how to make a genuine connection with that audience, and not to play off of their insecurities to drive sales or to distract them into something that they didn't need. I no longer wanted my time to go towards that kind of marketing. So I decided to start my own company. It's called Curiosity Lab. It went through many iterations, but more or less what we landed on and started to get a lot of traction around was providing strategy that helps brands, nonprofits, sometimes even individuals, to grow a community around their values.
Okay, that's interesting.
So this is kind of early stages of purpose-driven marketing. You may have heard of terms like benefit corps or B corps. This is almost like a merging of nonprofit values with for-profit structures and agendas. So within that model, we really believe strongly about values and wanting to make sure that we practice what we preach. So instead of just advising clients, we also would quarterly or biannually audit ourselves and say, you know, what did we set out here to do? What are our values? Have they shifted? Are we just speaking this, or are we actually living it? And in the spirit or in the service of living our values, we'd come up with thought leadership projects. One of those thought leadership projects was at a very important time in U.S. political and cultural climate. In the summer of 2018, leading into the midterm elections. So just, you know, to contextualize that, 2016, Donald Trump gets elected. That's just before actually I quit my job. So it's actually to start my own agency. In some ways, that the shock of that election made a lot of people who were sitting on their hands or sitting on their heels say, well, what are my gifts, and how can I bring my gifts toward progress so that things like this don't happen? So fast forward 2 years in the American political system, we elect our state level Senate and congressional leaders every 2 years, which acts as a check and balance to the presidential system. So it was really important for people who wanted to make sure, like myself, that you know, there was a strong opposing power, that we stood up. We didn't sit, you know, especially the young generation, millennials, and then Gen Z coming up behind us. So my team was made up of all women and people of color. I was the only guy. Everyone on the team was female, and then also
Okay.
we made it.
I like that. I like that.
Who runs the world?
Girls.
Hey. Watch it now.
But you know, it was me and my partner, and then 5 interns, and all of the interns, they were Gen Z, and we just loved that they were a different generation than us, just bringing their voice in, and we did an exercise which I still do and have iterated and improved upon, and offer to clients that you know, your listeners can actually reach out about. But we did a values exercise where together we came into a room and I led an exercise where we all kind of worked through and came up with our individual values and shared it. And then we did a new twist on it where we were like, okay, now, you know, this is what I've told you about Curiosity Lab. You have the opportunity to help us reshape our values. Personify yourself as Curiosity Lab, and let's do this exercise again. And we came up with shared values.
Okay.
And from that we came up with, our value was connection and empathy. And we wanted to have an actionable project, and that was to affect the divisiveness in our country and maybe even in the world somehow. Somehow. And through just like continuing to work with that brief born from our shared values, we actually came up with a game. And the game is called Actually Curious.
Curious. Oh, right. Curious.
And essentially what it is it's a tool that helps people arrive at their own biases. So what we found was, you know, as people of color who have been operating in predominantly white-dominated worlds, or women operating in predominantly white male-dominated worlds, we have somewhat of a more acute attention to identifying biases in others as well as in ourselves. And
interesting.
What could we learn from that, and how could we try to take our own experience and turn it into something that helps teach others? And we came up with this game. So fast forward to last spring, so around March, Curiosity Lab started to just take on different forms. My partner and I, we split. She continued to do marketing consulting. I focused solely on this card game. So that was around April of 2019. 3 months later, almost with plus or minus a few days, I had one of the most painful moments of my life. My closest family member, my brother Christopher, he passed away.
Oh my, I'm so sorry.
He died of cardiac arrest. He was 47 years old. He had,
young man,
young black man under the age of 50. And I didn't know how I was going to go on. At this point, I don't hold on to the things that scare me, but I wasn't sure how I was going to continue the next day without shocking the audience. It was a real contemplation for me, whether continuing on was the right thing to do. And I had I had community, family, friends rally around me. And I started to identify that Chris, my brother, he made up a piece of my confidence. He made up a piece of my belief in myself. He was one of my biggest cheerleaders, and I needed, in order to survive, to learn how to have that within me. So I started doing a lot of work, which I was really inspired by the intro to this show, because a lot of the tips you were sharing, these are tips, mantras. You spoke about some Eastern philosophies, yoga, meditation, journaling, movement. These tips saved my life.
Wow.
They helped me to establish, deconstruct like what was missing, and to start to build that within myself, so I wouldn't need it from other people. And it was really important because, I would have thought that would have been the lowest point, but fast forward another 3 months, and I start to learn that my brother Darren is in and out of the hospital. He was in the Army, very macho man, almost like the opposite of me in terms of being so open about expressing my emotions. And he kept it to himself. He knew the family was already struggling with Chris. And by the time I learned, within about 8 days of learning that, and actually I'd flown out to the West, he lived in California, out to the West Coast to handle some things with work. And when I landed in San Diego, he lives near San Francisco in the Monterey Bay area. I landed in San Diego, had lunch, got an unexpected phone call from my niece, and learned that my brother Darren had passed away.
Wow.
Oh my.
Yeah,
so within 3-month intervals, I lost my my business and life partner, my brother Chris, closest person in my life, and then my next closest brother, who I was so excited about fostering a stronger relationship.
Wow.
So needless to say, these were lens altering moments. These were moments that made me question why was this happening to us? Why have I spent my time not getting closer to them? Just lots of whys. Or what next? How do I show up for my 8 nieces and nephews who no longer have fathers? How do I show up for my parents who weren't, for sure weren't expecting to lose 2 of their boys before they turned 50.
Wow. So Michael, that's really powerful stuff you're saying. Really powerful. Life changing, obviously, life altering. So what is the life moment that has impacted your life and shifted your paradigms in the way that transform your vision and how you impact and how you want to impact the world?
Well, yeah, I think it was these sort of traumatic moments coupled with some really amazing memories that I shared with my brothers. Okay. And then the process of learning how to let go and learning how to accept, and the combination of it all brought me well, one, to just, it brought me to this place of realizing that these days aren't promised, and reflecting on just my past 15 years as a professional and the different stresses that I had, or just how hard I had to work to convince people to believe in my ideas and my direction, even after achieving certain levels. But then also having this thing that I created, this card game that I created. And I had 2 moments, one with my brother, Chris, the first one in the past, 2 Thanksgivings ago, where we played the game with our mother, and through that ended up talking about depression and mental health, because their questions, all of the questions in this version of the game get into topics that we should be discussing anyway, but oftentimes we don't create the context for it. So like diversity, mental health, even suicide, gender and sexuality, just like trauma from our youth. But it creates a context, and if we have time, I'll explain how it works. But through playing that game, I was able to actually broach conversations around my own depression and my own anxiety.
That's powerful.
And then how that actually played into alcohol consumption, or just played into some bad routines and habits. And, Jamaican parents, it did not initially get received well. It was like, what?
I'm sure.
So Michael, tell us about the game, right? Tell us about the game. and the event that sparks its development. What really kind of started that whole, I gotta take it to another level. That's so interesting, man. So interesting. Wow. I like that, Michael.
Yeah. So, the way the game works is there are 4 levels. I don't know if the colors will translate, but there are 4 levels and they're color coded.
I see.
So blue, where the eyes are closed, that's the lowest level. These are questions that should be easy to ask a stranger. So an example of that is, what foods remind you of home?
Oh,
okay.
So the way the game works is you start off at the lowest level, and if we were playing, you guys would answer it, and then I would award the card to the person whose answer I felt most connected to, and then that person can select from the next level. So what ends up happening?
Let's play. Let's do an example.
Sure. All right. So you want to? Let's just.
Yeah.
I love it.
Tell me, what foods remind you of home?
Fried chicken.
Ackee and saltfish. Ackee and the saltfish. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to award it to DJ KT.
Ah, yeah.
Okay.
Who won the world?
You know what? Because that's usually my answer, because my mom, true Jamaican style. Actually, we have 4 Christmas trees on our land. So we freeze it, we put it in the bag, we freeze it.
There you go.
Okay, I see you.
So, all right.
That's it.
KT, you can then stay in blue, or you can go up to green. But
green,
you have
I'm
to
going
do
up.
One green, you're going up.
I'm going up. I'm climbing the ladder. I ain't playing. I'm serious. This is my time, baby.
Okay. Green. So technically, the way you guys will just go answer. Make it easy. Are diversity quotas a problem or a necessity, and why?
Ooh.
And let's try to keep it under a minute and a half. Your answers.
Ask the question again to make sure I get it right.
Are diversity quotas a problem or a necessity, and why?
I think it's a necessity. Reason why it is a necessity is because when you have these quotas, then you get a better perspective on how the diversity is affecting you and affecting the world. It gives you a sense of understanding, and you can probably be a little more empathetic and less judgmental, and you see us more as one big family. Even with the diversity, you can appreciate another different diverse thought or actions in life.
That's a good answer.
All right, so what you got, Lady Misty?
Diversity is.
And don't take mine. Okay, don't take my answers.
I won't take yours. I'm not going to take yours. Even though I'm thinking the same thing, but it's a necessity. It allows us to understand each other better. It allows us to tolerate each other better. So I think it's important once we understand each other, we're able to be more tolerant of each other. That's my answer.
All right, I'm gonna award it to Lady Misty.
We're close.
It was a close one. All right, so how about this? Here's the last one, okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna break the rules here and just unlock the pink. But you normally you have to do a yellow before you unlock the pink. For Lady Misty, you have the choice. You can go blue, green, yellow, or pink.
Okay, let's go to the pink since we're breaking the rules.
I knew it. I could read your mind.
Okay. Now, you can imagine you play this game now with a group of people who maybe are just a little less the same. You get more variation in the answers.
Yes.
It helps. Is higher. You know what? Since I'm the game master right now, I'm gonna select the question I want. I'm gonna put you guys on the spot here. And all right.
Okay.
As a people who all have Jamaican heritage here, and I myself am very this is an area that I think about in terms of our culture and our willingness to fight for what we believe in. So here's the question I have for you two. You ready?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You ready?
Yeah,
We're ready. We're ready. One stop bus driver. We're ready for it.
Ready.
All right. Can violence ever be justified in what circumstances? Ladies first.
That's a tough question.
That's why it's up in the pink.
I know. Can violence ever be justified? For me personally, no. I don't think it can be more justified. Violence is violence. Violence is violence. It's a terrible act, and I don't know. I don't think so. You know, I'm just thinking of all the violent acts I know of in my mind right now. Everything is just racing at me. And has there ever been true justice from those acts? No. I don't.
What about the Maroons?
So. I see. Well, if you're going all the way back, yeah. If you're even going further back to, like, you know, days of the Israelites versus the Philistines, you know, violence. There is some justice there, but I don't know. In my mind, I'm just thinking, no.
Wow.
Not fully, not true justice. No.
All right.
That's me, you know.
DJ KT, you're on the clock.
You know, that's a big question, Michael. That's all right, but I think,
look,
you know, as you
for a big time show.
You know what I'm saying? Oh man, I'll tell you. So I'm telling you, as you talk about,
there you go.
It's a bit of an oxymoron, because I think about the Civil War. Who would have thought that you would have a civil war here in the great US of A, right, North and South, over something that's so crazy as far as dealing with slavery and all this kind of thing. And so, yeah, there's room for that violence in terms of. You thought about even with the slave trade, there were times when groups rised up. I mean, I'm sure some lost their lives and say we're not taking it anymore. But they were actually time when it was necessary. But I need some help, because I see somebody on the line. I want to ask them to help me out here. I can't cheat a little bit. Kill him, help me out here, please. Say something about this violent thing, because I'm kind of lost for words. Akilem, where are you? I see you. It's like a brother to me. It's like a brother to me. Hey, chime in here. Akilem, you heard the question?
I had a question. Can you repeat this? I had a question, but can you repeat the question you were asking?
No, I'm not.
Hey, Akilem,
you help me, because I just a tough one here.
Oh, Akilem, you said you had a question.
Yeah, but if you don't mind, before you ask the question, if you don't mind, I want you to help me out with my question. Is that all right?
Okay.
That is okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Michael. Ask him.
So we're just playing a little game. It's the last card, and DJ KTE here has passed the buck to you to close us out. The question is, can violence ever be justified, and in what circumstances?
Uh-huh.
Violence.
You're on the clock.
No, as
it's a tough question.
It is, but as a youth advocate, I have learned to steer the narrow line between defense and just malicious intent. It is a very confusing line. It's not straight, blurred, and it goes like in a cycle. It's not a straight line. It never will be a straight line. But violence can be justified if it's in the defense, once it is done reasonably as a means of defense. And I said defense, it means you have to be physically under attack for your action to be reasonably justified. And
okay.
be accidental violence. I mean, you can kill somebody accidentally, but then that is also a questionable situation. But in general sense, violence itself cannot be justified. However, in a few technical situations, such as defense of oneself or accidental killing under.
All right now. See? My help. I got my help. Woo.
All right. So you forfeited because you can't get help.
Oh,
so I won.
Oh man.
No, honestly, I gotta say, that was an amazing range of questions. I feel like we really covered, or answers rather, for that question. We covered everything from no to yes to self-defense, and I mean, I feel informed.
Yes.
So I'm gonna award it to all of you guys.
All right, thank you.
I don't want to tear it up, but I'll just tear it and give each of you guys.
Oh man, I like that. So I believe,
Akeem, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
I believe there's a question.
Oh, you have your question. Go ahead.
Listening to you guys earlier, because I'm at work and we have stuff at the same time. But I just
speak louder so we can hear you. Just speak a little louder so we can hear you.
I just had to call in as I wanted to understand how. I know the reason for the game itself, and I just wanted to know how. Let me phrase it properly. Let me just think about the game because I got confused. Like I hit that question, but I had to say that in my head.
They speak louder so we can hear. Speak a little louder so we can hear in the mic. Yeah.
Are you hearing me better now?
Much better.
Yes, wonderful. Yes.
Much better.
Wonderful. Now, as a young individual and the youth, I'm listening to the game itself and why was it created, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I want to know is how can this game help me understand other persons? Is it just for an analytical to just understand the way how they think itself, or just truly understand the person and where they're coming from?
Yeah,
good question.
For a person like me, that I get for people like me who grew up in a third world country and have faced discrimination on various levels of discriminations, how important can this game be used for me as a weapon, or even as a means to break that bridge?
Yeah,
great question.
So first of all, I'm like you. I've faced discrimination, and I guess I just had a lot of time since I was a little boy learning how to operate in these environments and to climb the ladder, and that maybe informs the game in some ways. But this game was created for you. This game was created to be a Trojan horse, to help bring people together, or maybe to help you understand people better, as you said. So the research that went into the game included real science, real psychology. We met with psychologists that actually advise crisis and difficult conversations. They advise Israel and Palestine negotiators on how to bridge gaps.
Interesting.
We then also brought in game mechanics. How do you use a game to then take the edge off of that situation? So to your question, essentially, because now I do workshops on how to use this game to increase empathy in yourself and in others. And the three key tools, the three key skills that you walk away from if you play this game, or you play it, but then you also understand why you're playing it, how you use it as a tool. That's why we do the workshops. But the three key things are: one, how to create a safe space so that people are comfortable being vulnerable with one another, and the game mechanics help to do that. The game helps you to do that, but also if you step away from the game and you remember what you did, starting off lighter and leveling up over time, it actually just teaches you what it means to create a safe space to get people to open up with you. Two is how to listen with curiosity. So listening to hear versus listening and not actually listening, but listening and preparing your response. So the way the rules work is we all stopped and we just listened. All we did is listen to see who we connected with most. And in so in so doing, we had to just listen to everyone fully. We weren't listening to counter to win an argument. We were listening to decide who we connected with most. So the second thing it teaches you is how to listen with curiosity. And I'll say, as a Jamaican man, I know sometimes it's hard. We argumentative people.
That's true.
We go there. We go there. All right.
We go there.
It's really helped me to in my family to learn what it means to, like, because sometimes in our households, in our primary attachment partnerships, our parents, our spouses, is where we argue the most. And now I just catch. So it's the third thing. The third thing is it helps us recognize bias in ourselves and in others. So after playing this game for a while, I start to realize, oh man, I feel hot when someone says this thing. I get triggered by it. I can then identify that and say, well, you know what? I know I get triggered by that, but here I'm listening. I'm listening to understand them, not to react immediately off of that feeling to fight back. So just to recap, 3 things: how to create a safe space, how to listen with curiosity, and how to recognize bias in yourself and in others.
Wow, that is extremely.
Does that help, Akeem?
Yes, it did. That's quite informative, and it's a tool that I'm gonna try. I may want to get the full grasp of the game and use it myself.
Well, and if you don't mind, I could just DJ KTE. I'll just share that. So the game is available on actuallycurious.com.
Okay.
There's also on the website there. We created it just before COVID-19, during COVID-19. We decided again to return to our mission and to our values. And based on that, we decided to create a PDF that anyone can download for free. It has 18 questions from both games. So this is the second edition. This is called the Happy Hour edition. And then we just played the Curiosity edition. So there's 18 questions. I know you have a global audience. We reached out to our community on Instagram and asked them to help us translate it. And we got it translated into 7 additional languages. So the 18 questions free PDF is available in 8 languages. And then lastly, the workshop that I mentioned to you and the values exercise, those are both also, a version of them is open source and available to your community for free at actuallycurious.com/workshops. All you gotta do is give us your email address, and then we give you tools to spread empathy.
Can you say it one more time, real slow, the address? So say it real slow and spell it out, because that's important, if you don't mind.
Yeah. www.actuallycurious.
There you go. CURIOUS ACTUALLY. Curious. CURIOUS.
Okay.
And if you want the workshops, you just put / at the end, actuallycurious.com/workshop.
Okay.
Nice. That is awesome.
Or follow us on Instagram.
Worldwide. We're going worldwide with this game. Worldwide all the way. I love it.
I love it.
Oh,
yeah.
Small humble brag, but Beyonce featured it on her site as a own business to invest in. Probably one of the most A-list celebrities in the world.
Kudos. I love it.
Right, congratulations.
Well,
Awesome.
I put her stamp on something. Of course, I'm gonna follow it.
So you know what? As I heard your conversation, Michael, really, really awesome stuff. I heard 2 words came to my mind. I heard profit and purpose, and I heard when you talk about you broke to the glass ceiling and you reached that mark that many people probably dreamed of. Like, how did you get there? And you realize that, man, life has brought you into purpose. I'm hearing purpose out of you, Michael. And I think, like my coach said to me, that when you're in purpose, everything's tend to follow. It just flows the way it's supposed to flow.
Yes.
And I'm really feeling your movements, Michael. I think it's gonna be impactful. And I'm looking forward to great things, man. I really am. And we are coming to a close at this section, Life's Moments. And again, brilliant young man, young mind. And I'm hey, we have so much to be grateful for. And
That's
I'm learning
right.
that every day, that when we remain grateful in spite of what we go through, it's really no telling how far we go. Yes.
Yeah,
So,
well, I just feel so truly blessed for being introduced to you and having the opportunity to tell my story and introduce the game to your audience. So thank you for your time and your effort creating this platform and fostering your community. And if there's anything I can do to help, just spread the tools of empathy within your community, please just let me know and I'll be there.
yes, sir. We'll definitely be staying connected and staying in touch, because there's much more to come. I think we have a part 2 coming, because I'm sure there's more games and ideas that might be heavy.
That's right.
So anything that's new come out, please let us know, because we want it share with our audience.
You already know.
Yeah. So you go. You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know. That's it.
Yes. So again, Michael, thank you, and stay blessed. I guess we're at the end of our show, and Misty, anything you want to kind of shout out to, the folks?
Just say I'm just completely blessed. I learned so much tonight, and God has truly blessed our people, humanity, with so many different gifts and talents, and once we tap into our purpose, we can just do unimaginable things. And I'm just grateful to meet people who have been tapping into their purpose. It's a beautiful thing.
Nice. So again, want to thank you, Miss Lady Misty. Thank our guests for being here. Thank for those who in the engineers. Oh my God, they make it happen. They're not seen, but they are so important to the whole flow of this show here. Thank you for guests for coming on board, and thank you for those who are behind the scenes making it happen here on Let's Talk Relationships. I'm truly excited about the future, and I again want to thank you, the audience, for chiming in, and hopefully we see you on the next show. When, Misty? When's the next show, Misty?
Monday. Tune in.
There you go. At what time, Misty?
Next Monday.
At
9 p.m. sharp.
Okay, guys. Thank you for listening.
That's right.
Let's talk
relationships on UMERADIO.
So what are we talking about?
Marriage, dating, parenting, business,
and love, emotions, sex.
It's a conversation with me, Lady Misty,
and DJ KTE
on everything from hot topics to taboos.
Join us Mondays at 9 p.m. live on UMERADIO.
Follow us at Let's Talk Relationship Show on Facebook or on UMERADIO on Instagram. Let's talk relationships, arguments for the grown.
Get the UMERADIO app to listen wherever you are. That is UMERADIO, one word.